Starship Ouroboros, Part 1. As first memories go, waking up suspended in a narrow, glass tube full of liquid had to rate as one of the worst. The fact it was his first memory, despite having happened just 30 seconds ago, was the icing on the consolation cake. The boy did not panic. People always assumed that someone would in such a situation, but this is simply not true. The human brain's kernel layer is well adapted for dealing with bizarre situations, and in the time it took to spool up the panic response, it had assessed the situation and come to a few important conclusions. He wasn't dead, he wasn't drowning, he wasn't in pain, he was a comfortable temperature, and there was neither sight nor sound that was triggering the predator alarm. In short, the situation was, while unusual, not necessarily dangerous. So the boy waited. He did begin to wonder why he wasn't drowning and felt only minor embarrassment when he looked down and saw the long, fleshy tube that formed a linkage between his stomach and a machine on the side of his watery prison. He wondered briefly how he'd failed to notice that up until now and came to the conclusion that he'd assumed himself superlatively well endowed for a child. Did he have a name? He should have a name. He was thinking in English, which suggested that he should have an English name. Or rather, a name derived from the English language because lots of people spoke English. How did he know that? Memories. So he hadn't simply popped into, wait, had he really assumed that a 12-inch long umbilical was focus? That wasn't important. Names. Come on now, brain. I know I've never used you before, but there's no excuse for being this useless. Never used you before? Where had that idea come from? From Matthew Robert James Weaver, that's who. A name with letters on the end, no less. Wait, who? Me. Of course. Things were starting to make sense now. Matt Weaver, 63 years old, born in a sleepy little hamlet in Yorkshire, England. Wait. He looked down again. The body suspended beneath him in the fluid, which he assumed was his, was definitely not 63 years old. There might well have been a 6 in the age, but it was a lonely 6. Okay, I'm a child in a test tube with the memories of a 63-year-old man in my head. I think that's okay, but I'm not sure why. Something beneath him began to grind. He felt the liquid glug away, lowering him down to the bottom of the tank. His legs touched the metal and buckled almost instantly, having never had to carry his weight before. Thankfully, he didn't have far to fall. It took a few tries, but he soon found himself standing up in the tube with the severed umbilical dangling between his legs. From outside the tank, a monitor screen lit up, and a soft, feminine voice spoke to him. "Good morning, Mr. Weaver. You have been dead for 184 years. The time is 9:09 standard ship time. Allow me to open the maturation pod." Oh, the computer. He remembered how much he disliked her. "Thank you, Arab." He eased himself out of the pod as best he could, finding the new limbs unfamiliar. He felt confident there were clothes somewhere nearby and found them in the fourth cabinet he checked, the one marked clothes. Stiff, mildly uncomfortable shirts and trousers were neatly folded, all a dreary dark blue and arrayed by size. He took the smallest size and still found it just a little too baggy for his taste. "I feel like I'm forgetting something," he said aloud as he turned back towards the pods and grinned at what he saw. A puzzled little girl stared at him from tank number 2. She looked to be of similar age and was clearly going through the same mental process he had recently experienced. He waved to her, and she timidly waved back. "Wait for it," he said. He saw her expression change. "There we go." When the computer finally cycled the tank, Matt offered his hand to the girl. "Good morning, dear. You're looking rejuvenated this morning." "Oh, shut up and give me some pants," she spat back, trying her best to retain some dignity as she clambered out of the machine that had birthed her. He laughed at his wife's desire for modesty. "Oh come on, it's nothing I've not seen before." Technically it is. Besides, if we've been resurrected, that suggests there's work to do. Arab? "Yes, Mrs. Weaver." Why were we resurrected? Have we reached our destination? Yes, Mrs. Weaver. We are now on final approach for the TRAPPIST-1 system. We will achieve a stable orbit of TRAPPIST-1e in 10 years, 2 months, 4 days. 10 years, thank you, Matt cut in. Well, Jenny, we've got a decade of time to kill. What shall we do first? Jenny adjusted the waist of her starchy blue trousers. First, we fabricate more comfortable clothes. Then we start compiling long-range telemetry. The pair hurried off through the vessel, giddy with youth and purpose. The first humans to visit the system, potentially the first to find a habitable exoplanet. It was all so wondrous, and their new lives were unburdened by the pessimisms born of age. No thought had they for the possibility the long-range telemetry may have been mistaken, that the worlds of TRAPPIST-1 may be no more suitable for colonization than Mars or Venus. No, such doubts had no place within their minds. With the absolute conviction that only children could possess, they knew that the TRAPPIST-1 system would be everything they ever dreamed of. It would be that, and so much more. To be continued.